So Anne did all right with the English accent. I know in the notes she said
yeah.
that she was really worried about being able to.
Yeah, and a northern British accent too. That's just not your standard sort of southern. A northern accent is a whole other ball game.
Right. So did you coach her along, or did she?
I
come
didn't
to
do
you
it.
for
No,
help?
she was all. She had it all. She knew what she was doing. Yeah. I get well out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she would come onto set. She would be speaking like that all day, every day. So I mean, I didn't even. I just got so used to it. I just. That just felt like the way she spoke, so I didn't even notice it, to be honest.
And you said somewhere in some interview that I read that you said you were sort of like Emma and Dexter, and that Anne would be reading something very highbrow, and then you'd be reading like some sort of just
trashy magazine.
Trashy magazine,
yeah.
Exactly.
There were a couple of moments like that. I mean, Anne is very like Emma in that way. I mean, she does read a lot, and has a great knowledge of books. And I think she was really into this book about being a vegetarian at the time. So she was all hooked on that. And it was just one of those lovely moments where you're just sitting on the set and you just think, God, look how... And I just happened to be flicking through, like, Hello magazine or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So and it was just there. And we were both sitting next to each other in costume, just Em and Dex right there,
Right.
It was pretty funny.
Sort of like... Anne and Jim.
Exactly.
And then you can kind of tell where you at, because the film kind of follows you guys through. It's such a great story.
Yeah.
Through 20 years.
Yeah.
And so there were like subtle changes in your character, so you had to sort of grow up with your character and change hairstyles a lot and different. Like, how did you sort of adjust to each time period?
It was complicated because we were sort of moving around all the time. When you make a film, it's never sort of in a linear sort of way. It's all over the place. And so when you're having to sort of play 40, then the next day you're playing 30, then after lunch you're back to being 20 again, then you're back to being 35, and all the different things that life's kind of constantly throwing at you. It felt like you were making a new film every time you came on the set. There'd be a new situation with new people in a new surrounding, Mm-hmm. So whether you were a TV presenter or you were a father or you were an alcoholic or whatever that might be in the story, So, yeah, it was hard sort of keeping tabs on all of that stuff.
Right, but you could tell by your haircut. Which
as long as I was wearing the right wig, then I was in the right frame of mind. Yeah. If the makeup artist was going to mess around with me, she would have thrown me completely.
Do you relate to this at all? Because you're sort of the same age as Dexter at certain points. I mean, it's sort of finding that right track, and because it's kind of a confusing time when you just get out of school, and you're always sort of questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path?
Or just to get out there and have a good time, you know what I mean? As how Dexter sort of sees it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's pretty good at living life. I'm quite envious of how good he is at life and the fun that he sort of has. He's all up for experience, and that's just who he is as a person. So it's important that he sort of lives through all those experiences before he's sort of responsible enough to sort of, commit to one person, and that's okay. That's not. He's not done anything wrong.
Right. Do you relate at all to Dexter? Do you have a little Dexter in you?
I think everyone's got a little Dexter in them. Yeah, I'm related to both of them equally, actually.
Right.
Depending on sort of how I was looking at it or what you're sort of looking at. There's a bit of Dexter in me, there's a bit of Emma, sure,
Right. But as an actor, I mean, he certainly can go, because he has tastes a little bit of celebrity and does what all celebrities shouldn't do.
Yeah.
He gets, sort of buys into his ego and then ends up kind of, I mean, does that sort of worry you and sort of being on the cusp, of celebrity and just, I mean, what can possibly happen with, with this chosen career?
No, not really.
You got to head on straight.
Yeah, I think it just takes a certain person to sort of buy into that. That's going to happen. That's a personality trait rather than celebrity itself, or making films or whatever it is that you do. I think you're either like that or you're not.
Mm-hmm. And now, have you met that certain person who gave you that spark, like Emma did in the movie, where you just can't forget her?
Yeah, well, I've been in a relationship for the last 7 years. So yeah.
Oh, so you haven't had that spark in a while. So you had it initially with your girlfriend then?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I was clever enough to know that she was my best friend pretty early on. So yeah, I did what Dexter didn't do. We got together straight away.